and the better your process with selecting tenants. With anything, it is risk, but to me, the rewards outweigh the risk, and people are not going to stop needing places to eat, sleep, use the bathroom, and they do all that at home and get dressed. So yeah. I think the opportunity outweigh the risk. Before we went on break, Mark was talking a little bit about he talked a little bit about funding. We talked a little bit about his 3-unit project, and we talked a little bit about how he got started. And I'm gonna invite him to reiterate again for people that are interested about going to get information from these local meetings. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how important you think that is?
So if you're just getting started and you don't know where to go, you don't have the resources, it's definitely a 10, like 9 to 10. You literally can find everything you need in these meetings. You got to be outgoing though. You got to be able to step out of your comfort zone and actually talk to some of the people in there. A lot of these groups already have people that they already know. They make circles around each other and hang out. You got to be able to awkwardly stand in that circle and
Develop
get their attention.
Presence, yeah.
You got to get their attention, and it's hard no matter where you go. Like you go to so when I go to a real estate meeting now, it's not that bad because I know I know what I'm talking about. People know me from Facebook and stuff like that. But I do go to out of state meetings, and it's the same thing. I feel like a little tadpole in a big pond over there, or whatever the saying is. But like I'm in these high level meetings with these guys, and they make their circles, but I have to break through that circle and stand there awkwardly and try to get their information, what they're looking for, and see if we can help each other out when it comes to real estate.
Let me ask you something, Mark. Here in the region, a lot of times when I'm talking to people, one of the obstacles I think subconsciously for them, they are unaware of not just the opportunities, the scope of money that is in circulation in this field.
Yeah.
So would you want to elaborate or talk about that, or some of the things you may have noticed or seen as far as your opinion about how much or how the scope of the money that may be available, not just available for lease, but that's involved in this business?
So when it comes to borrowing money from people, and when you're going to buy a house and it's $100,000, to you that seems like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but there's guys out there. I mean, there's just people out there where I've tried borrowing money before, and they would ask like, how much money can I use in a year, or how much can I deploy in a deal or something.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So what you're leading to is that it's people here that if you're not borrowing a minimal amount of money, they won't loan you money.
Yeah, one guy when I first started, he's like, how much can I leave with you? Yeah. And I told him like at that time it was like 500 to 600,000. I thought that was like really reaching up.
And he's thinking like 5 million.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was 5 million, and he wanted nothing to do with me because I couldn't deploy his 5 million.
I run into people like that right here, and I have people here don't believe me.
And I got that lead from Lake Station.
And they're riding around Gary. I'll be at a flip, and we'll go to talking and say, I do investments. I friend and introduce me to somebody and say, well, what you think you need to do this on a regular basis? And I tell them the number, and they say, we're trying to tie up a little bit more money than that.
Yeah. And these guys that when they're looking to deploy money, they want you to hold their money. They don't want to give you $100,000 and they get it back in 4 months. They want you to take $5 million and have it for a year, 2 years, because they don't want to keep on what they say is working their money.
Right.
They don't want to work their money. They want to park it and collect.
So also in this industry, so let's just look at this. You have the title companies. You might have home inspectors. You have mortgage brokers. You have the real estate agents. You have the vendors that you buy supplies from. You have the general labor. You have the specialty laborers under contracts. There's contractors. Then sometimes you have things that you buy, I call it ancillary spending that you might do by surprise. So let's say you got a real nice flip and it's in Sherrville. So now you might be out at ADT buying a Viking set or something, or a Samsung set. So what I'm saying is, I can think off the top of my head at least a dozen people that have nothing to do with the deal that earn money from the single deal.
Even photographers. I mean, it comes down to photographers.
I'm glad you said that. I listed my carry-out restaurant, and the listing agent asked me where did I get the photos, and I said they mine. They said no, they look like they photos from a previous agent. I said yeah. They said I can't use these. I said wait a minute, this is my place. I give you permission. And their explanation was a lot of the agents are hiring photographers to take their pictures at their listings, and therefore those pictures are their property because they paid for them.
Yep. And
I can't do them. I have to come out and do pictures again.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that. So my saying that isn't really about the pictures. I'm trying to get an audience a scope of how lucrative this can be and how many people, how many hands is in this. It's beyond your imagination if you really, really step back and look at it. And Mark or me or 10 Marks is not really a bleep on the map compared to what's really going on out there.
Yep.
So I encourage people. I'm so adamant about this. Even if you're not looking for a career change or nothing like that, the economy is going to get to a state such that the have and have-nots is going to get more serious and worse over the next few years in our country in general. And I don't care where you live. And I recommend if there's any couples out there, because it takes a team too. If there's any couples out there, you get you 1 or 2 rental properties, particularly if you're in an area that's a bargain like Indiana or state that's a bargain, because the median house in Indiana is more than $150,000 behind the United States. And so the entry level is lower or whatever, but I recommend you have at least 1 or 2 rentals in your portfolio if you plan to raise a family and you're a couple, and maybe you got a kid to send to college or something later. That's highly recommended. Would that be?
Yes. Yeah. Going back to the money part, though, I was just thinking about it. Some of these deals, like Antonio, he started off with buying houses through land contracts or seller financing. I do that to this day. So some of these deals, you don't even have to go to these meetings to meet people that have money. What you need to do is be confident in your sales pitch and try to convince the people, learn what they need. Some of these people don't need to sell the house right away. They just need the house out of their name. They don't want to pay the taxes anymore. So they're willing to sell you the house for whatever. I'm doing one in Cedar Lake, and the guy offered me seller financing for it today. And because I called him and I told him, hey, I'm working on the money. It looks like I'll probably be able to close in about 3 weeks. He's like, well, what if I just did seller financing for you on it? So now I don't have to look for any money other than the rehab project on it. So now this guy's selling me the house, but not only is he selling it to me, he's giving me the money because the house is paid off.
Exactly. So I found trouble property like that. I shared a deal once. I found a property. They were in trouble. They didn't have money to do it. They moved out. I did the house, and we split up our differences after it was over with. So it's a lot of ways you can do things great. I would argue, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if you really want to do this and just anything in life, competence is the first step to empowerment. You have to have a certain level of competence in what you're doing. You got to have commitment, and then integrity third. A lot of people argue, oh, you got to have integrity first. That's true, but it makes no sense to be honest. I tell a story about how this town was very, very moral and religious, and they elected as the treasurer one of the church deacons. And he had been married to the same woman 60 years, and everybody liked him and trusted him, but he couldn't count. And so the town actually lost money with this guy they trust because his competency level. In fact, they lost more money than the former treasurer that was a thief, because at least he was competent in being a bookkeeper and he stole well. So I tell that story to people. I say, so competency first, commitment second, because you got to pull the trigger, and then integrity third, because now you got people want to come back and do business again, which you repeat with integrity. So we're getting close to the end of the show. You got any parting words for our audience?
No, I just want to thank you for having me out here. This is the first time I've ever been on the radio. I do love the camera on Facebook and stuff, but this is new to me, and I do like it. It's great.
Okay. All right. So eventually, maybe we do some type of spinoff. Let's talk about your flip, and we interview somebody who successfully did their flip for the first time. I don't know, but it sounds good. This is John Allen. Thank you for tuning in for We the People tonight with our guest Mark Hutnick.